Why, hello there. I'm Doseku, and welcome back to Granddad Mario. Today, we're going to take on a level that will drive you insane. Let's go inside and see what I'm talking about. We do not need to see that cutscene, we saw that last episode. Alright, so, funny story. This is probably the first time I noticed that we can in fact just walk past the skulls. I've always been trying to jump over them when we first killed them in previous levels because I thought those things would hurt you, but in actuality, they don't until they explode and reform. We do get a new enemy type for this stage, and it's these Phantos masks. These guys are going to be a pain in your butt later on, believe me. But, until we reach that point, everything else is pretty simple, honestly. Except for these masks. It's kind of hard to get the timing down, because you can't just mash your attack button to get them. They have to be the right amount of spaces away before you can do anything to them. And as for the yellow bones, I'm trying to be careful around them. That's why I killed that little grabby guy a little earlier on. Because if I tried to kill him while we were on the unstable bones, they probably would have fallen as we tried to stop and hit him. Right. Still, this is not the hardest part. This stuff is crap easy compared to what's coming. Come on, a little closer. There we go. That really is the only way to deal with that guy. Alright, let's try this again. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. He's still a pain in the butt, but at least that one is more manageable. Oh yeah, this is the level where we can actually see how effective the boomerang is compared to the slingshot. There's actually a particular enemy coming up that will show us how useful these things can be. And why I choose one over the other later on. The axe, as far as I can tell, is actually our strongest sub-weapon so far, as it's able to take out Ninja and Phantos in one strike. Is that Mewtwo in the background? What the heck? Okay. So this is Bootleg Kirby. I actually went ahead and looked up what game he hails from, and oddly enough, he hails from Red Diamond Kirby Star, which is a Game Boy Advance, bootleg of Kirby 1. In fact, after looking at a couple videos of it, it really is just Kirby 1 with a few cutscenes tossed in. The boss we're fighting is actually from one of the opening cutscenes. Hence why there's no animation on this guy and he just jumps around. Now, unfortunately, the boomerang does not do much here. And that's because this guy jumps around way too much for us to actually get multi-hits off him. So the best thing we can do here is just hammer him with our hammer, and avoid his little explosions. Another thing to note is his body will only hurt you if he's jumping down on top of you. And it's only with the big jumps. The small jumps, you're pretty safe to get under him. Oh yeah, another thing, he won't actually hit the left side of the screen, so if you're all the way to the left, his large jumps bounces off the border above you, so he never comes down on top of you. And we're at the worst part of this stage. In fact, no, this isn't the worst part of this stage. This isn't an intro to that. This is the gimmick for the remainder of the level. Essentially what's happening is you have instant death rising up from below you at all times, and you gotta do precision platforming as quick as you can. If you wait any amount of time or take too long, you're dead. Now this first room is pretty easy. I say as I die. In fact, you can practically outrun the spikes in this room as long as you keep moving. It's the next room after this that this becomes a much bigger pain. So let's keep things simple and advance. Bam! Haha! And we're dead. Yeah, taking out those falling bones, you're gonna die. Now, imagine doing this with finite lives and having to redo this whole stage over and over and over again if you game over. And again, we're not even at the worst of this. This is still kid game, or at least the gloves are still on, compared to what's coming. Alright, that was easy. And now we're at the first of two rooms. Oh, I hate this place. So, this room takes a lot of practice. Did you see that flash there? That flash is the spikes actually teleporting up a little bit. And that flash will always be right there. Oh yeah, and it looks like the hearts went away. Weird. So this is the first of two rooms where your timing is very tight. You get no room for error before you die. And you have to be quick. And I mean quick if you want to make it out of this room. And you're going to see why here in a little while. There's the spikes teleporting up. There's our first ninja. He's gone. And we're dead. So from what I can tell, ninjas take about 2 hits from the boomerang, or at least 2 to 3 hits, before they die, while with the slingshot and axe, they take 1 hit. Do not go slow, do not do what I'm doing here, because at this point, we're essentially screwed. And that's because when we reach this point, we have to actually come down, go left, then go right. And these things will still keep coming. And yes, I have died a whole lot. This is where I probably would have quit the game if it wasn't for infinite lives. Because if I had to do all of these rooms over and over and over again due to numerous game overs, there's no way in heck I would make it through this game. But we're still doing fine. You're not seeing all the pain I went through, because this was about 20 minutes. 20 to about 30 minutes of doing this over and over and over. Just this one room. To get out of here. Oh, we're dead. I really dislike this area. So far, I would categorize this as the worst segment in this entire game. Oh yeah, the plant to the right that we avoided killing. At one point, it shot me off these little vine things right into the spikes. So please be careful of that. But we gotta eventually make progress to get out of here, right? And we're at this room. I really dislike this room. This is where I spent a lot of time trying to get through. I think if I look at my stats, I spent about an hour and a half in this one room. In fact, I had to cut this into like 3 different segments because 1, I had to stop because I got too frustrated, and 2, because I decided I needed to look at a walkthrough because I didn't understand what I was doing wrong. Don't worry, you'll see the point where I viewed a walkthrough. Right now, we're just going to keep going through the regular process, just to show you how painful this segment is. Because if I have to suffer, you're going to suffer with me. And you do not get a lot of time to play around. One of the things you're going to learn really quickly here is me stopping to hit all those enemies. That's actually screwed me, and it will continue to screw me. Because that is not the way you're supposed to deal with this room. But the game doesn't tell you that. Oh no. It doesn't tell you that at all. I assumed this was the safest way to do things, because I really dislike those Phantos, and if you give them a chance, they will knock you off your vines or your like 1 pixel ledge, and then have you fall right into the spikes below. Having this ninja right here is a pain in the butt too, because if you use projectiles against it, you have a high chance of missing it, and you can't proceed until you get rid of it. And then you gotta count the fact that the floor is still coming up on you. So while you're wasting your time getting rid of the ninja, you're very likely increasing the chances that you are going to die by spikes as they come up across you, and possibly block you out of progress like they did in the last room. Another note is, you do have to hit that skeleton. Do not let him run into you. He will slow you down and hurt you a bunch. So, again, after about an hour of barely making it to that plant that just killed us, I had to stop. I had to take a look. I had to see what I was doing wrong. And let's see how our new method works now. You have to climb these vines as quick as you can. If you stop for any short amount of time, those phantoms will knock you off, and they will knock you into the spikes. You have to jump off the vines as soon as you touch them if you want to make it. But for the first try at the new technique, we're doing pretty good. In fact, we're getting farther than I've made it before in this area. And there we are. We are much farther than I've made it before. Although, I'm still screwing myself because I wasted so much time trying to kill those Phantos. The best thing I can say is avoid killing the Phantos at all costs if you can. They slow you down, they have a chance to hurt you, which will slow you down even further, which would then cause the spikes to reach you much quicker. Of course, there are some that you have to kill that's mandatory, like this one, and the one that came before it. Oh yeah, and this one, because if you don't, he's going to knock you off the cliff and knock you to your death on that little branch to the left there. But it looks like we made it. We got just the right amount of spacing, right? There's a right. 1 pixel away from the exit. All I needed was a half a second to get out of this room, and it would have been over. So, now we do this for another 20 to 30 minutes. You don't get to see that because that would drive you insane. And one of the biggest reasons why it took so long after that is this ninja. It's very hard to actually hit him. You gotta time your jump with his jump or your projectiles with him so you actually hit him. Then you can't discount the fact that you could miss him when you're trying to jump at him and fall below onto the skeleton, and then the 3 Phantoms that are waiting to hit you while the skeleton also hits you. Well yeah, there's a yellow heart up there if you can make it in one try. I don't know who in their right mind could, but it's there. So after the horror that was the Rising Spike area, we actually come to a boss that's kind of anticlimactic when compared to what we had to do to even get here. I still don't understand how in the heck there was a Felix the Cat bootleg game. As I understand it, the NES game wasn't really that popular, and the Felix Cat franchise itself was maybe semi-popular, but not enough to get more than one game. So, say hello to Jafar. He hails from Aladdin 2, a bootleg Aladdin game for the NES. He's actually quite simple. He's kind of like the Felix and EXE fight, except he is much easier to avoid. As long as you know how to avoid the head that pops out from below. Now, unlike Kirby, our stab weapon will actually help us here. As soon as I figure out when I want to use it. Jump, yeah! Oh yeah, he actually hails from a cutscene within Aladdin 2 for the NES. I don't know if this model is in the game though. Yeah, whatever. He's dead. And there goes Felix.exe. Goodbye, Felix. Grand. You know, I've always wondered, what would it be like to play a Mega Man game where Mega Man's just out of shape? Would it be like that Sonic game where he eats onion rings instead of regular rings? Oh, we're going to do that alright. Yeah, it does. So, this looks like a good place to stop for today, especially after the hell that was the Meteor level. So thanks for watching, and join me next time as we venture into what I hope is the final level of the game, and I pray it's not as hard as what came before. I'll see you there. Goodbye.